Okay, you guys, as you're joining, say hello. I'm just going to share this out while I wait for you. And if you're watching the replay, you can skip ahead of 30 seconds, 60 seconds. And if you're watching the replay, say replay love in the comments below. If you're joining me live, let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Hey you guys, I'm Amanda Heisman, your friendly nourishment expert, nutrition channel, energy embodiment coach, intuitive eating teacher, and I love helping women create joyful and easy relationships with food and with body. And I do that in a lot of different ways. Teaching intuitive eating, channeling the needs of the nourishment body, and also through things like the embodiment game, through nourishment reframes and rewiring our subconscious beliefs about food, body, and self. So that's what we're doing this week in a couple of small ways. We've been talking about nourishment reframes or mantras or affirmations, these things we're choosing to try on as belief systems instead of what society's kind of fed us, right? So again, as you're joining, say hi, let me know that you're here and you can hear and see me okay. So yeah, we've kind of like had a collective agreement about ways that are kind of normalized to think about food and to think about our bodies, that I think a lot of us are waking up to and saying, no, I don't really want to think about food that way. I don't really want to feel about my body that way. So I'm going to choose something different. I'm going to unlearn what I've been kind of fed all this time, force-fed from the media or from wherever, and try on these new beliefs and see how they feel for me. So that's all we're doing this week, is trying them on, seeing how they feel. Do I want to, like, subscribe to that? Is that something I want to move forward with? And so we talked about on day 1, just being open to new ideas of nourishment, right? Having an open mind, having a curiosity instead of judgment. We talked about just, that belief of being willing to try something on and having a beginner's mind. We talked on day 2 about anything that we choose or don't choose to put in our body is simply research, and I'm super curious what has come up for you guys as you've tried these on and gone about your days eating and, being with yourself and your body and how you feel. How has that gone for you? Anything I choose or don't choose is simply research. Yesterday, day 3, was a 2-parter, right? So it was, I recognize the innate wisdom of the divine in me, and I'm sovereign to nourish my unique body. So that one was super empowering, right? Like realizing what kind of power we have, that we all have a wisdom inside of ourselves, not looking outside for answers, right? You're the expert on your own body. And that you have the agency, you have the power, you have the personal choice, you have the sovereignty to choose what's best for you. And remember, day 2, anything you choose or don't choose is simply research. So doesn't that take the pressure off as we move forward, right? So you choose, you get feedback, you know better, you do better. So I want to talk today on day 4. I want to speak to the idea of struggle and battle with food in our bodies. We have just been inundated with this idea of punishment, like working out is a punishment, eating healthy is a punishment, of like we think we don't deserve certain things, or the idea that you just have to be in struggle or in battle with your food or with your body all the time, constantly, right? Oh, my body's not doing what I want it to. It's not losing the weight as fast as I want it to. I can't get rid of this constant headache every night. I'm like at war with my body. Or food, like we do the same thing with food, right? Like, oh, cheese doesn't like me, whatever we say, whatever, like I can't have that, that's a bad food. You know, even the language we use, like, I can't have that. Like, reframing us to be able to say, reframing those words to be able to say, I'm choosing not to have that, is already empowering in and of itself, right? I'm choosing not to have that today. Like, I met up with my friends yesterday, and there was a question of like, are you gonna have a drink? Are you gonna have a drink? And I checked in with myself, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna have a drink today. I don't feel like having a drink today, and that's okay. And if I did feel like having a drink, you know, like if I did feel like having a drink, that would be okay too. And then throughout the evening it changed. I wanted to have a drink later, right? Like later after I ate. So like there is no sense of judgment about that or like battle with myself. It's just like, no, I don't feel like it. It's not that I can't have it. It's not that I'm subscribing to some particular rigid diet. It's I checked in with myself, and I'm choosing. That's what I'm choosing for myself right now. That feels in my highest nourishment right now. And I will continue to choose throughout the day. Beth says, I decided to give myself a break. Yes, tired of the battle and also tired of being mad at myself. Yeah, tired of the battle and also tired of being mad at myself. Yeah, like at some point you just get sick of it. So if we're not doing that, like if we're going to release that way of doing things, what's the new way? And that's what this whole week has been about. So if you guys haven't seen days 1 through 3, definitely go back and watch. But today we're talking about my answer to, like, we've already put some structure in place with being a research scientist and with recognizing your innate wisdom and your sovereignty. Like we took the pressure off, and then, you know, made it super empowering. And now we have to take it one step further with today's mantra, which is, you might even choose to put your hand over your heart and your belly, like your other one down in your belly. I am kind to myself. I am kind to myself. A third time. I am kind to myself and appreciate my process. I am kind to myself and appreciate my process. I recognize my progress. I celebrate my progress even, right? I am kind to myself and appreciate my process. I celebrate my progress. The progress is always in the process, and it's always a process, it's always a journey, and every step you take on that journey is worth celebrating. I'm going to say it again. Every step you take on that journey is worth celebrating. We tend to have this idea of where we should be. Like, I should be here with my health. And since I'm not there, I don't deserve to celebrate every step up until I get there. And usually when we actually get there, we don't celebrate it either, because now we've got our minds on something else. But it's worth celebrating. Why? Well, first of all, you're doing a freaking great job, right? We don't do this enough. Everybody stop. Everybody take your hand, put it over your shoulder, and give yourself a pat on the back. Believe it or not, that's what your higher self is doing all the time. Your higher self is always giving you that high five, pat on the back, atta girl, go get 'em, you're doing great, you're exactly where you need to be. Beth says, I like the way that makes me feel. Yes. And when we like the way that makes us feel, when we feel good, we're inviting more of the same. When we celebrate our progress, we're signaling to the universe like, oh, she wants more of that. She's celebrating it. She's appreciating it. She's in gratitude for it. More of that, please. And can you feel the difference when we're punishing ourselves and constantly feeling like we're not enough? Then, you know, we're creating more of that. So there's a lot to unpack in this one, and just the idea of being really kind and gentle with ourselves, right? We tend to think we have to be these like drill sergeants with ourselves. I've even had pushback on this, like, well, if I wasn't tough on myself, then I wouldn't ever go to the gym, you know, or I would never choose the right things to eat. And I challenge back on that, because I believe that you would. I believe that when you're kind to yourself, you're making the best choices for yourself. And once you reframe that as not a punishment, like it's not a punishment to do those things, then it's a whole new world, right? You're being kind to yourself, so you're inviting more of the same. What questions do you guys have? Let me know, like Beth did, how it makes you feel. Do you practice that on the regular basis? Did you even consider that in terms of nutrition and eating and diet and things like that? A lot of times we might have done some self-growth or personal like development work, in which we might have ideas like this about different parts of our life, like our professional life or our financial life or our relationships or stuff like that, where we're implementing things like this, but for some reason we tend to divorce it from our health and our eating, and there's no reason to. Let's get back to that marriage. If you're good at being, at celebrating your progress in other parts of your life, you can be good at celebrating your progress in this part of your life. And you can be so kind to yourself, and you can absolutely, permission slip given. You don't need it from me, but if you feel like you need some sort of permission slip to opt out of societal norms and ways of thinking, and really brainwashing around the ideas of how we should feel about our food and our body. Opt out. No, I'm not buying into that anymore, right? Like, I'm done. I'm done with that way of being, thinking, feeling in the world, doing whatever. So once again, if you want to say it with me and receive it, today's nourishment reframe is, I'll just read Beth's comment real quick. I was thinking certain food is either good or bad and just had to let it go. I feel more free now. Yes, and you'd probably, if you haven't seen it yet, Beth, day 2 speaks more to that, about the good, the bad, and like what are universal human truths that's good for all humans, but there's a ton of bio-individual stuff, and like just getting feedback on how that works for our unique bodies. So today's mantra, today's reframe is, I am kind to myself and appreciate my process. I celebrate my progress. I am kind to myself and appreciate my process. I celebrate my progress. So the more times you say that, the more times it sinks in. If you choose to join me for the embodiment game next week, which I told you a lot about yesterday in day 3, so I'll tell you a little bit about today. We go through and I've made like these reframes into song, so they'll get even more stuck in your head and hopefully your heart. And these tunes, like you can replay them the same way a child learns, you learn a nursery rhyme, you learn something to song and it stays with you. It's the same way. So I've made these into song. We sing them in the embodiment game. We say them, we sing them, and we, as Jana would say, we swing them, which means we dance as well. And we kind of let that knowing sink into ourselves. We're going to talk more tomorrow about embodiment and what that means, kind of breaking this whole thing down a little bit. But that's a little taster of what's going on. We do a little round robin in the embodiment game, and really you have a nice community of women to share these reframes with, go through and share what it brings up for you, how you're going to change it, and you have support that way. It's only $44 a week. I'm doing it for the next 2 weeks, next week and the following week. So it's like $8.80 a day. We meet every day at noon Eastern time for 33 minutes. Let me know what questions you guys have about that. If you'd like to join, or if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. Beth says I'll go back and watch day 1 and 2. Yeah, definitely do. And day 3 as well. So we're on day 4. I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 5. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna get your dance pants on, get your dance shoes on, because we're gonna do a little ditty and you're gonna hear a little bit more about embodiment and how it plays into all of this. All right, love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.